Okay, welcome back. Let's get started. Okay, we're in the 9 days. We just started. We just entered. It's Rosh Chodesh. And we're going to talk about one of those sugyas that aren't the big smiley sugyas, but it's one of those sugyas that are very matim for the 9 days. We're talking about the sugya of being post-Shiva and for non-parents up to the Shloshim, and for parents being in the year from after the Shiva all the way until the Yartzeit. That year. What is allowed? What is not allowed? What could you do? What can't you do? Well, I heard my cousin's friend told me. Now let's learn the halachos, all right? And let's get it straight. So I actually learned a lot of this shiur is based on what I went through in a sefer from Simcha and Bunim Cohen on halachos aveilus. That was my key source for this sugya. Let's go on. Okay.
Just to be clear, you said till the Yartzeit.
In a leap year, it's 12 months, not 13 months. That is correct. In a leap year, it's 12 months, not 13 months, and we are in a leap year, so I definitely should be specific. Correct. You are right. Now, when one leaves from a Shiva house, they always say, Hamakim Yinachem Eschem. I'm not going to conclude that statement to put the controversy aside, but he says, Hamakim Yinachem Eschem B'Sag Shar Aveilus V'chulu. Now, what about after Shiva? So for a non-parent from Shiva until the Shloshim, and for a parent from after Shiva all the way till the end of the year, you could still say you meet the person. It's not too late to say Hamakim Yinachem. You bump into somebody 5 months after they lost their parent. You could still say Hamakim Yinachem Eschem B'Sag Shar Aveilus. And Shar Aveilus B'Yerushalayim. A lot of people don't know this, don't realize that, but that could still be said. What if you meet somebody who's after the year or after the shloshim for one of the other relatives? Then you just say tisnachim. You just say that you should be comforted, but not with the whole long statement. Okay.
Is it a problem to say the whole long statement?
I think so, because they're already post that degree of aveilus, so a person's not supposed to stay in the higher level of aveilus before that time. I know the Litvaks, I'm joking, but we're not supposed to stay on aveilus that long. Okay, now there's a din that's brought in Shulchan Aruch, Yerdea, Shin Tzadi Gimel, that says that the aval, after he gets up from Shiva and he goes back to shul, he should change his spot. I'm going to call it when he's in the year. When I say the aval's in the year, I'm really referring to somebody who lost their parent for the whole year and somebody who lost a different relative up until the shloshim. So for the year, when they're in the year, change your seat. As it's apparently some form of like galus. You go to galus, you change your seat, and you're in galus. Now, if somebody's in their switch seat and then they lose another relative, so they don't have to switch again. They could stay in that switch seat because they're already, so to speak, in galus.
What shackles galus?
Because why galus, or why is this considered galus?
What's galus to aveilus?
Yeah, so galus is a way of, it takes you away from happiness, and you're supposed to take away from happiness. I don't know why specifically this is the one example where you're going to galus and nothing else you're going to galus, but that's what the poskim bring down as the basis for this. So you go to your galus, so to speak, you switch your spots. Second relative dies, you don't have to switch again because you're already there. Now Rav Elyashiv says, what if you don't have as much kavana in your davening? This new spot, it's not as, you're looking at people, you have the guy schmoozing next to you, it's not the right place. So Rav Elyashiv says, if that's the case, so switch for 1 week, and then you go back to your spot. Because Lamaisa, this is only a minog, and for a minog, you're not gonna lose your tefillah b'kavana for a minog. Now, let's say you've been at that spot for a year. I imagine this happens very often. You've been at that spot for a year, and you realize, I like this new spot. So the person can say you're allowed to stay in that new spot. It's not like, you have to go back. Now, by the way, what are we talking about? So the Mechaber says that this din of switching spots is for during the week. But for Shabbos, you stay in your spot. Whereas the Ramah says you switch both for during the week and for Shabbos. Now, obviously, I'm going to say Davar Pashut. You need to be in the type of shul that you have a spot to switch spots. If you're in a shul where every week you daven, depending where you show up, when you show up, whatever, you sit in different places, then this din is just not applicable. I imagine the Sephardim take on like the Mechaber. I didn't check it up in the Maisa, but I assume the Sephardim take on like the Mechaber and only switch during the weekday, and not on Shabbos. Now, during aveilus, if I got this, okay. As Betsy pointed out previously, a leap year is 12 months, not 13. Now, there's another halacha about giving gifts. During the year, an avil shouldn't give or receive gifts. Why not? So, it's actually hard to pinpoint what the actual issue. I mean, there's simcha, but what do we include? So there's something we actually discussed on a previous year, last year, during the 3 weeks on aveilus. There's a concept of Sheila Shalom. You're not allowed to say Shalom Aleichem to an avil. Some people think that's only during the 7 days of aveilus. You actually, with the name Shalom Lechatchila, you shouldn't say Shalom Aleichem to an avil the entire year. The meaning doesn't seem to be this, but saying the replacements of Shalom, the hello, how you doing, what's going on, how's everything, that we don't do during Shiva, but the minhag for that is only during Shiva throughout the whole year, that would be fine. But the actual shame of Shalom should be prevented throughout the whole year. People don't seem to keep it, I don't know, but that's what the Shulchan Aruch says. So a subcategory that is giving gifts. Giving a gift to Aval is like the Aval, that's a great Shalom. I would say that's even more than Shalom. Shalom is just words, gifts are actions. And it obviously depends what type of gift and what type of words, but very often the gift is going to be a bigger deal. So you cannot give or receive, Aval cannot give or receive a gift.
So I think what's the chiluk between saying Shalom Aleichem and what's up?
So so it's with the since it's using the Shem Hashem in the greeting, it's a higher level greeting.
So present would be what's up.
I hear. But
It's
not the Shem Hashem I hear, but you could hear understanding that the present is even greater than a Shalom, because you're doing that's something that's going to bring somebody happiness. Probably. You could try it for your wife next birthday. Instead of giving her a present, say Shalom Aleichem and see how it does for you.
I guess I'm projecting my present song, you know what I'm saying? It's a Star or something.
Fine. So, fine. So, however, when a gift is a part of basic etiquette, then we do allow it. It's not like there are other cases where we don't always play this by Shiva. We don't say this actually by Shalom, interestingly enough. But over here by gifts, we say when it's part of basic etiquette, that would be allowed. So, for example, if somebody gives a gift to... actually I'll start with the spouse because we discussed that before. So you should not give a gift to your spouse during the year. However, buying flowers for Shabbos, that's not a problem. That's not considered a gift to your spouse. It's considered for Shabbos. Now the poskim say that if somebody needs to appease their wife, or she'll get insulted if she doesn't get her birthday gift, and it won't work, the answer, well, I'm an aveilus, and that won't take you. I had to deal with your mother when she was alive, and now I still have to deal. So if that's not gonna go down well, so then you'd be allowed to give a gift, right? Okay. We're allowed to give a gift for a simcha. That's considered like normal etiquette, and we're allowed to, if the Baal Simcha is an aval, he's allowed to receive gifts. You're allowed to give a gift to a chassan and kala could give whatever customary gifts they're accepted in whatever society you're in. Whatever's accepted to give between a chassan and kala, they could give. We allow gifts to a host. You come over for a Shabbos meal. You're allowed to give a gift because that's also, once again, proper etiquette. Now, parents could give their children Hanukkah presents and they give them financial help. That's also not considered something special. It's considered normal day-to-day life. If a doctor treats a patient for free, which is something that very often happens on Shabbos, as a side point on the sugi of Schar Shabbos, the Chazon Ish was very, very makbid to tell people, make sure to give a gift to the doctor that treated your child on Shabbos. because we want the doctors to continue to do this, so everybody should always make sure to give a gift to the doctor. So it's one of the things that the Chazon Ish was makbid about. Now, giving a gift to the doctor that would be allowed, that's proper etiquette. Now, one can give a gift to their Rav or their children's Rebbe for Hanukkah, Purim, Pesach, whatever is normal in that society to give gifts. Yeah, and whatever it is. Some people never, yeah. Whatever is normal to give gifts, because that's considered part of the Rebbe's compensation. It's part of the overall compensation package that a Rebbe or a Rav in one of the different communities, they expect to get those gifts on Hanukkah, Purim, Pesach, whatever it is, and they rely on them. Fine. A boss can give his employee bonuses, because even if the employee is an aval, because that's considered part of the compensation. You're allowed to pay an aval for his services. You're just not supposed to give him a gift. Now, tzedakah, for aval to give or receive tzedakah, that's also not considered a gift. That is allowed. Bringing an aval food during Shiva, that's not considered a gift. That's considered a subcategory of chesed, as opposed to a gift. That's allowed. Now, the Nishmas Yisrael says that somebody could buy an aval a sefer. This is an interesting chiddush. You could buy an aval a sefer, but not a sefer that you're buying for him that he's never going to read, and he's the type of guy that's never going to read, and it's just going on the shelf. If you're actually buying him a sefer to learn with, you're allowed to do that, because mitzvah slav lahenes nitna, he's not getting what we call pure hana in the sefer, and therefore, since mitzvah slav lahenes nitna, there's no problem with giving him the sefer, and therefore you would be allowed to do such. I thought it was an interesting chiddush. Okay. We'll get there. Yeah. Now, a workaround by the gifts is that you could always give a gift to the family. If you give a gift to the family, that works. By shalach manas, you would have expected a different answer to this, but they asked Rav Elyashiv, can I give a shalach manas to the aval's wife, who I don't know her at all? I don't know her at all. I don't know anything about her. Could I give her a gift? So Rav Elyashiv said, yes, you could, because L'maisa, you didn't give him the gift; you gave it to her, and that's fine. Even though I would expect Rav Elyashiv to be kicking and screaming, "Oh, sir, to give a gift to her," and whatever. Right, correct. So in general, you're not supposed to give shalach manos from man to woman, but over here, since it seems to be, there's not the problem of giving man to woman because everybody knows you have in mind the man. But it's not a problem of giving him the gift because since you're not actually giving it to him, you're giving it to her, so it's not a chelik of she'el shalom. I was surprised by this psak of Rav Elyashiv. I would have expected otherwise, as I said in the prelude. Fine. But that's a cooler Rav Elyashiv. Write it down. Fine. And I assume that idea of Rav Elyashiv could apply to all gifts, probably, of giving to the wife. Now, an aval can give or receive a gift on Shabbos if it's for mitzvah use or for Shabbos use. Can, yes. And by the Shalosh Regalim, we're even more makel as to what you give the aval, because since over there, the aval has a positive mitzvah, v'smachta b'chagecha, so there's more room for lenience in doing something that will make him happy. Now, what if the gifter didn't know that this guy was an aval? Or he didn't know the halacha. He didn't know that you're not allowed to give a aval gift, and he gives the aval gift. Now, me being the aval, or whoever the aval is, can he receive the gift? So the Ksav Sefer says he can receive the gift as long as it's not something that brings him major simcha. Fine. Next. An aval is not allowed to wear new clothing in the year. Now, what if he needs new clothing? Sometimes, I need. So if he needs new undergarments, underwear, undershirts, whatever, socks, minor stuff, whatever, some of the places can talk about belts, but they don't really, I think those places didn't understand that there's two different types of belts. There's belts that hold your pants up, and there's other belts that show how much money you spent on the belt. If it's a belt that's meant to hold your pants up, it's included in the category of the the underwear, the undershirts, and the socks and whatever. If it's a type of belt that's designed to let everybody know how much you spent on the belt, then it's going to be in the other category that goes with suits, etc. Okay, fine. So, yeah, I think we could say that with a lot of things, right? Fine. So, if it's the basic category, the underwear, undershirts, okay, Lamaisa, if you need it, you could do it. Now, if it's the significant outerwear, it's a coat, it's a suit, it's a hat, it's something significant, right? So then you can only wear that new clothing if you had a friend or somebody else wear it already. Then if the friend wears it and it's no longer new, you could wear it. How long does the friend need to wear it? 3 minutes? No, not 3 minutes. So Rav Elyashiv says the friend needs to wear it for a day. B'diavad, he can wear it for half a day. Now, I think the hagdara is that it's no longer a geshmak, a new pair of clothes. I think a lot of the chevra that didn't grow up in Meish Arm, if somebody else walked around in your pants for 3 hours, even though they didn't quite get the half a day, I think it's a pretty lechatchila, not geshmak, a fresh new pants. When somebody walked around with for 3 hours. I think so. But that's the hagdara. But yeah, it's no my megadaf. Give me the summer, winter, who your friend is, ain't kamakumar. Fine, okay, right there. Not all friends were created equal, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, but I guess we're talking about somebody who's the same size as you. Okay, right there. Now, when it comes to shoes, by the way, shoes are allowed. This doesn't apply to shoes. I think it's a similar type of din. Like the Pasuk says, no shechianu on new shoes. I mean, nowadays we don't make shechianu on so many things. Whatever. I wonder if it's connected to that type of idea. There's no issur of wearing new shoes. And new glasses are allowed. New glasses are allowed if they are needed. So that means if your glasses break, you get new glasses. But I guess it doesn't mean if you already have the ones with the blue and the green, but you realize you don't have with the red. I don't know if that's called allowed.
Glasses are now a fashion item. It's not just...
Yeah, it's not that pasha. I agree. But I think the main idea is if you need glasses, you need glasses. I think that's the main idea. Fine. An oval cannot wear Shabbos clothes. This is an important one. I think some people don't know this. An oval cannot wear Shabbos clothes during the week. So even if there's going to be a case where he's going to be allowed to run into a simcha to wish a mazel tov, for example, and we're going to see there are cases where an oval can run in to wish mazel tov. However, he would not be allowed to wear Shabbos clothes, so he'd have to go in with his weekday clothes. Now, if he's a white shirt, black pants type of guy, all right, you get away with it, not so bad. But not everybody is. Tough luck. Okay. We said that an oval can't wear new clothing, but he could buy new clothing, unless it's something that's super expensive. So for the oval to maybe get a custom-made suit or whatever, that might not be the right thing. But buying general new clothing would be allowed. It's Rav Moshe, by the way. It's a chumrah of Rav Moshe that says buying the expensive clothing would be a problem. It might have been in the earlier days there was a bigger chumrah not to buy. It used to be they used to make shechianu when they bought clothes. That used to be the big simcha. But nowadays we make a shechianu if we do, depending on who you are. When we buy a brand new suit, if it's actually something special, and you don't buy 5 new suits a year. But if buying a new suit is something special for you, you make it when you wear the new suit, not when you buy it. So nowadays, for sure, buying would not be a problem. Now, it's not only when it comes to clothes. One shouldn't buy expensive items during aveilus. So they shouldn't buy expensive furniture or silver or something of the sort. Now, silver is very rare. You need silver. Furniture, there could be a situation where you need furniture if you absolutely need it, so fine. But you should not. You should try not to. You shouldn't plan to, under normal circumstances, buy furniture. Now, if the wife is an aval, the husband can buy an expensive item because it's the husband's, it's not the wife's. If the husband is the aval, the wife shouldn't buy an expensive item because really when the wife buys an expensive item, it's the husband's, and now it's the husband's buying an expensive item. I have a chiddush, which I think... Oh, correct. You're right. It might be connected to that point. I agree. Now, a point which I was thinking, I think it's my own svara, but I think it's svara pshuta. let's say the husband's a aval, and the wife is buying something expensive, and it pains the husband that the wife is buying something expensive. Like the wife wants to buy a Gucci handbag, and this does not make the husband happy that the wife is buying a Gucci handbag for $2,500. I hope that's maybe more. I don't know. Yeah. So if the wife is buying a Gucci handbag for $2,500, and the husband ain't happy about this, I think that's not a problem during aveilus. I mean, it might be a problem in general, but not in aveilus. Fine. For a davar ovid, one can buy an expensive item during aveilus if it's a davar ovid. Not everything is a davar ovid. Not every time there's a sale in Macy's is that a davar ovid. There's a sale in Macy's 197 out of the 365 days a year. That's not a davar ovid. But if there's something like specific and special, then that would be a davar ovid. Fine. An aval should not move into a new home during aveilus. Meaning, I'm not talking about a rental, I'm talking about a purchase. Now, if not moving into a new home will cause a significant financial loss, which is like almost always the situation, because they're usually paying for wherever they are until they move in, so it's often a very significant financial loss. So if it is a significant financial loss, they can move into the new house. If it's not a significant financial loss, they should not. Fine. One shouldn't paint his house during aveilus. Okay, meals. We're starting off with during the week. An aval during the year can't invite guests over for a meal, and he can't go to someone else for a meal. Aval is not supposed to have a meal together with somebody. Now, it's not just necessarily a meal. Inviting somebody over for a snack or a beer in like a schmack away. Not we're going to eat the potato chips and we're here. But come over for a snack, come over for a beer, that would also be a problem. Now, this rule does not apply to close relatives. You know, close relatives, that it's normal to often eat together, and it's not a whole big deal that you eat together because it's just part of normal life that you eat together, then that would not apply.
Close friends.
So close friends...
Mamish rugel.
So that's not the point. If it's mamish rugel, it'll be okay. Meaning, let's say you have two people that are together. We are together, we're business partners, and we go into the sushi place to grab lunch because we want to eat lunch. That is not a problem. Because you're not going out to eat together. You're together and you're eating. But if you're close friends and you're going out to eat, then it would be a problem. The question is, how do you view it? Do you view it as you're going out, or you're having a meal together, or you're together and you're having a meal?
What about Shabbos?
Oh, I'm not doing during the week. Shabbos is more mekel. We'll get to Shabbos in a minute. Shabbos is more mekel, but during the week we're holding right now. Now, fine. And this rule does not apply to giving food to somebody who's hungry. Somebody who's hungry, you want to feed a poor person that comes into your house. That's not considered having a meal together. That would also be fine. Now, on Shabbos, there are two reasons to be more mekel. One reason is the shita of the smag, that there is no isser of eating together when it's a sudas mitzvah. So we don't actually rely on the smag by himself, because we're going to be machmer sometimes sudas mitzvah. But there's one of the two factors. The smag says sudas mitzvah, it doesn't apply. The other factor is, on Shabbos, there's no aveilus b'fer hersia. And since there's no aveilus b'fer hersia, so you're supposed to act as normal. And if you're in a society or people that it's normal to have guests over, and it's normal to eat out, and it's normal to whatever, then it's beseder. If you're a society that you never ever eat out, and now you want to eat out dafka when you're in aveilus, that might be a problem. Now, some people are machmer. I know I've heard this sprach that some people are machmer. The question is, where does this come from? That they don't have extravagant Shabbos meals with lots of different people together, big meals with lots of different company. So it's a little unclear where that comes from, but I think where that comes from is, we're going to see later on when it comes to big sudas and mishta and bar mitzvahs and sheva brachos, there is more reason to be machmer. That's beyond normal Shabbos meal matziv. So I think that's where that idea comes from. But l'maisa, simply speaking, Shabbos meals are allowed. Fine. The place would say that one shouldn't go to a big getaway Shabbos. Shabbos HaGadol at the whatever hotel. That is not the proper thing to do. Unless the person's absence would be deemed aveilus b'ferhesia. If the whole shul is having lunch in the shul on Shabbos HaGadol, some shuls do that, so you could clean the house and you don't have to cook in your kitchen that week before. So for Shabbos HaGadol, the whole shul is having a meal together in the shul, and if you're the president of the shul or the gabbai or the hacker, and like, where is he? Oh, he's an aveilus. If that's what everybody's going to say, then you're allowed to come. Because there's no aveilus b'ferhesia. But if it's like, oh, he decided not to come, like it's nobody would attribute it to you being an aveilus, then you shouldn't come. Okay. Now, what about, so Rama says you shouldn't eat by a sudas mitzvah unless it's in your house. Once again, I'm back during the week. I'm not on Shabbos anymore. Rama says, even though I told you the Smag says it doesn't apply at all on Sudas Mitzvah, the Rama takes somewhat of a compromise. He allows you to have a Sudas Mitzvah in your house, but you can't have a Sudas Mitzvah outside of your house. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says an avil cannot eat by a siyum. The Shach says an avil can eat by a siyum.
In his house or not in his
Even out of the house. Now it's unclear whether,
You can't?
huh?
What were the shitas again?
The shitas were that the Smag says, but a Sudas Mitzvah, all Sudas Mitzvahs, you're good.
Wedding.
The Ramah says that a Sudas Mitzvah, a Siyam, let me just say this again. The Ramah says that you shouldn't eat a Sudas Mitzvah outside of your house. The Kitzur says that no Siyam, wherever you are. The Shach says yes Siyam, wherever you are. Now it's unclear whether the Shach is arguing on the Ramah and saying that this Sudas Mitzvah of a Siyam, meaning I should say it like this, the Ramah, it's unclear whether the Ramah would argue by a Siyam and say it's only in your house, or whether the Shach is explaining the Ramah. And the Ramah, when he said that a Sudas Mitzvah is in your house, Siyam for some reason is more makel than other Sudas Mitzvahs. So it's a little bit unclear whether it's a machlokes Shach and Ramah, or the Shach is explaining the Ramah. So it's not so clear in the Paiskim. The Maisa, Rav Yashiv, Rav Scheinberg, and Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky all say that an avil can eat by a siyum in the avil in the year can eat by a siyum, even outside of his house. So the Maisa, that's the psak. We allow an avil to eat even outside of his house. Fine. Can an avil go to a bar mitzvah? So an avil can go in to wish Mazel Tov. The place can allow him to go wish Mazel Tov. Now, if there's music, so he can't hang around. He could just go in, wish Mazel Tov, leave. What if there's no music? So if there's no music, the Bari Shulchan says he can hang out there. As long as he can't eat the main food or anything like that, but he can hang out there. Rav Yashim and Rav Vosner says even if there's no music, he can't hang out there. The Mace is not a big nafkamina because there's like always music, so whatever. During the Aimer or during the 3 weeks, yeah, that would be an nafkamina. You're right. Okay. Now, fine. Now, when I say that you can't eat food, I mean you can't eat like meat. You can't eat proper thing. If the oven wants to nash on a little fruit or a little side this or side that, the oven will be allowed to. So it couldn't have like a mitzi or like a meat or like something, serious. But a little noshing around would be allowed. Now, that was by a random person. But what parents and grandparents, they are allowed to go to the bar mitzvah, they could dance, they could eat. Grandparents, they should do a little bit less of dancing or whatever, like tone down a little bit than what they would otherwise do.
Why that allowed if it's going out?
Because since they're considered a Baal Simcha, so we have a special allowance for the Baal Simcha to be able to have Simcha. Now, when it comes to siblings and siblings-in-law, so it depends. If their absence from the Simcha would diminish the Simcha, if the absence from the Simcha would diminish the Simcha, then it would be allowed. Then it would be allowed but they shouldn't eat the main food. They could come, they could wear Shabbos clothes, but they would not be allowed to have the main food. Now, this is the case by a normal, healthy family. A normal, healthy family, the siblings of the sibling-in-law will diminish the simcha. So somebody doesn't have to feel bad. Maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe the halacha is you that's normal and you should go. Okay, what about weddings? So if the chuppah, let's actually start with the Kabbalah's Panim. Let's do this in order. So the Kabbalah's Panim, the Chasen Tish. So some say you can go to the Chasen Tish if there's no music. Now, you can't wear Shabbos clothes. We're talking about a random guy. Now, here's a question. Isn't there always music by a Chasen Tish and the Shmorg? I think there generally is music, no? Definitely in America, for sure. I think in this country also, there generally is music. So, whatever. In theory, if there was no music, then you could hang out in your non-Shabbos clothes. But if there is music, then you could go into Wishmael and stuff, but you cannot hang out. Now, what about the chuppah?
What about the singing? If it's like singing and stuff without
Singing's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, singing's not a problem, but music is. Now, what about the chuppah? So, if the chuppah is in the same room as the meal, will be, so then there's actually a problem going, that's considered the base mishta. And therefore, it's a problem. You're not allowed to go into the base, the oval can't go into the base mishta. He can't enter the room. Now, what if the chuppah is in a different room? So, he's allowed to pop in when there's no music. Now, your average American chasana, that's like, never? What is he going to pop in? Like, during the Kriyas Ksuva? And run out? Like, I don't know what exactly he's doing. But in the Israeli weddings, maybe some of them don't have longer tekufas where there's no music. It's funny because this became a common thing. Lots of people pop into weddings by the chuppah if they're aval. I'm aval, I'm only going to the chuppah. The place seem to say, you could go, just make sure there's no music. I think, this is my historical guesswork, I'm guessing 30 years ago, they didn't play much music by the chuppah.
In Yerushalayim, they don't play music.
In Yerushalayim, well,
If they don't.
I don't remember. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you guys... 20 years ago, we went to chasanas, and they were just sitting there banging those drums, and there was no music. I feel like when I go to weddings in the last, 10 years, there's always at least a one-man band.
By the chuppah.
Well, yeah.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. No? So if there's... That's what I feel. I could be wrong. So I think that halacha of going to the chuppah, I think might be outdated. I said it a little wrong. The halacha still applies that you're allowed to go to the chuppah if there's no music, but that's just not the metzias anymore. So yeah, I don't think it should be done. Okay, now that's all about regular people. Now, what about? By the way, one more thing to add that during the Suda? So during the Suda, Rav Yashiv says you can't go. That's the base of Mishnah. You can't enter base of Mishnah. You can't even go into Wishmael stuff during the Suda.
You're not partaking, you're just popping in. No,
You're not allowed to enter a base Mishnah.
Why is it different a wedding to bar mitzvah?
It's a good question. It seems to be this term, base Mishnah, is specific to a wedding. Then when the Gemara uses the term, we always understand it to be a wedding.
Is it because they were like drinking and stuff?
I don't really know. I don't really know why. What's with the differentiation? I'm not really sure. But yeah. Okay. Now, when it comes to parents and grandparents, they could attend the whole wedding, wear Shabbos clothes, eat, and dance. Maybe the grandparents with a little moderation, but dance. Yeah. Siblings and siblings-in-law, they could attend. They could wear Shabbos clothes, and they're only meant to dance with the chassan and kala. The siblings and siblings-in-law shouldn't do general dancing, only dance with the chassan and kala. They should not eat the main food. And some poskim are machmir that they should do some form of a service. Make sure to be one of the people that are arranging things, or they always say there's waiter things, but I don't buy the waiter things. I feel like that random person that tries to serve stuff just gets in the way. You know what I mean? If you're the type not to get in the way, then maybe do it. But if you're the type to get in the way, I don't know how you call it service. But, take pictures, you'll send it to them. And if you're the type of person that's able to hawk around and make sure the ksuba is where it's supposed to be and the tanayim is where it's supposed to be and whatever. So do that and be somebody who's in charge of things and, make sure the little kids aren't destroying things and then you'll be okay. Fine. Now, fine. What about other relatives whose absence would diminish from the simcha? So other relatives whose absence would diminish from the simcha, they're allowed to attend if they, number one, do a service. Number two, they don't eat the main food. Number three is they only dance with the chas and kala. And number four, after they're yotzei doing whatever they need to, they get out. Okay. Similarly, a Rosh Yeshiva or a Rav that, if they don't come to the wedding that diminishes the simcha, they're also allowed to come for a short time and dance with the chassan or kala. Now, I don't mean that the Rosh Yeshiva should dance with the kala. Don't put words in my mouth. All right. But l'maisa, this is only true if it's going to diminish the chassan's simcha. Let's say it's going to diminish the simcha of the father of the chassan or the father of the kala, that the ha Rebbe showed up or the ha Rosh Yeshiva showed up, but the chassan and kala couldn't care less, then that wouldn't be good enough. Somebody that's working by a wedding hall, whether it's a waiter, a musician, or whatever, he could come attend, no problem. Somebody who's the aide for an old man or something like that, he could come attend, no problem. He's working, he's not part of the simcha. Now, I had a shayla. What about a worker who's become like part of the family? He's been the old man's aide for the last 8 years. Everybody knows him. Even if the old man would pass away, they would still invite him to the simcha.
But they stick him by the door. By the sound, you know what I'm saying?
Away from the music, because the old man's complaining
No,
about.
I'm saying they say he's like family, but they always stick him at like the wall with the wind and the speaker like this blowing his eardrums out. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. I think he could still come because he's at work, but it's not so pashut, because he really would come also as a guest at this point, because he's been taking care of the old man for the last 8 years. Fine. Tzarech. What about Sheva Brachos? So Rav Yashiv says by Sheva Brachos that's also considered a base Mishnah. And he says that you're not even allowed to go into wish Mazel Tov. The Neta Gavriel says, no, that's too much. It's too much. You go into wish Mazel Tov. Now, by the way, Sheva Brachos are going to have the same rules that we just said by a wedding, about who could attend, who can't attend, what you could. They're the same rules. But ironically, it's going to be harder to go to a Sheva Brachos than to a wedding. For example, siblings and siblings-in-law. They're going to be allowed to go to the wedding because any half-normal family, if they don't go, it diminishes from the simcha. It's weird if the siblings aren't there. But by a Sheva Brachos, it's pretty normal that, sometimes a sibling can't make it to Sheva Brachos. It's not like, oh no, the Sheva Brachos is ruined because the brother-in-law didn't show up because he had a meeting in Manhattan or whatever. It happens. So therefore, it's going to be harder for the sibling and sibling-in-law to go to the Sheva Brachos than to go to the wedding. Okay. What about Shabbos Sheva Brachos? So Shabbos Sheva Brachos, we're going to be more makel. Parents, grandparents, siblings, they could all attend. Other relatives and friends, if their absence would be obviously attributed to the fact that they're an aveilus, then it would be aveilus but for Hesia, and they could attend. So if it's, if everybody knows, where's Uncle Shlomi? Oh, he's an aveilus. If that's the case, then Uncle Shlomi would be allowed to attend. Fine. What about all these heterim? No heterim from Malav Malka. Any Shabbos heterim do not extend to Malav Malka. What about a vart? So a vart is interesting because a vart isn't a real simcha that we could tag as this is a simcha. So by a vart, the parents can participate. They could show up, but they're not even allowed to dance. And avol could come into say Mazel Tov because it's not even considered a real simcha, a real based on Mishnah. So there's no problem. Everybody allows avol to come in and wish Mazel Tov. A Shalom Zachar, which is obviously in Shabbos, that's okay. Some people say you shouldn't stay around an extra long time. Okay. Avol is allowed to attend the Vachnach. That's not a problem. However, I've heard of some vachnachs that are going on nowadays in certain communities in America that make the weddings in Eretz Yisrael look like a kindergarten siyum. So I don't know about those, but other types of vachnachs, that would not be a problem. A bris, a pidyon haben, a chanukas habayis, a sudas haidah. So an avel can attend, but he can't eat the main meal by those simchas. Parents and grandparents.
If you make it into Sudas Mitzvah?
Huh?
If you make it into Sudas Mitzvah?
So once again, if we're gonna get into that sugya of Sudas Mitzvah, and he might be able to, and the mice of the place can be allowed for a siyum. Like if you make it into a siyum, for example, those things, you make a siyum during that, they'll be allowed to tell. General Sudas Mitzvah, we're not makel just by the Sudas Mitzvah. And if you want to say it's a Sudas Mitzvah and it's a Chanukas Habayis, by what Sudas Mitzvah, you made a Bar Mitzvah during the Chanukas Habayis, I don't know, I'm saying, maybe. Fine. Now, parents and grandparents of a baby by a bris and a pidyon haben, they're allowed to attend and eat. The moil and the sandik, even if he's an aveilus, he's allowed to attend and eat as well. An avel can attend the fundraiser, and as long as there's no music and he doesn't eat the main, it's okay. An avel can have tikkun after shachris. I just heard some places it's getting out of hand, but the avel can have tikkun after shachris. And avel can attend the Achnas Sefer Torah. You could even dance in moderation. What else we got? Joyous activities. Okay, so specifically joyous activities should be avoided in the year of aveilus. So to go on a cruise, one of these big tours to Europe, or massive camp reunion, that should be avoided. The Nishmas Yisrael says quite a chiddush, that group socializing is a problem for an avel, and he gives us an example: the women by a bungalow colony, the women sitting in a circle by the bungalow colony schmoozing. Now, this is definitely not what's going on in the world. I think the people who are in aveilus definitely do sit around and schmooze with friends and socialize. I'm not saying right or wrong, but I don't think the minhag is like this. Nishmas Yisrael. Okay. A family trip is fine. A family vacation to rejuvenate yourself is fine, but you should probably keep it within means. It might not be the year to go on the family trip, stop over in Thailand, either on your way to the Far East, on your way to, maybe cool down a little bit, but family trip is allowed. Okay, what about music and singing? So an avel is not allowed to listen to music, whether it's live or recorded. Now, I saw that Rav Yashiv, Rav Vosner, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Rav Belsky, and Rav Shlomo Miller, they all say that a cappella music is not allowed during aveilus. Now, I was looking far and wide, trying to find who's the one who matters a cappella, because I couldn't find anybody that put their name on it. I actually discussed this with Bensi earlier today. I was trying to figure out, I think like this, the starting point is, if music is aser, and this is an instrument, so l'chayra, what's the problem? But nobody wants to put their name on the heter. But in Klal Yisrael, a lot of people are makel with this. Now it gets a little bit more complicated, because apparently there's two types of a cappella. There's the once upon a time a cappella, which was just people making noises with their cheeks, whatever. And now what most of a cappella is, to my understanding, is the person makes the noise with their cheeks, or they're clapping, or whatever, and then they digitally format and change and mess around with it on the computer to make those noises sound like instruments. So most of the places were saying, like,
I thought they just got better making the noises.
yeah.
Seriously.
So most of the poskim are saying, so wait, if they didn't make any of the noises, and you asked the computer, put in the noises of the instruments, that would be a problem. So now, because they made a little noise, and the computer changed it to sound like an instrument, now it's any better. So not so simple. So the mice of the poskim don't really like this a cappella thing. I don't know what to do, because there seems to be a large sect of Klal Yisrael that is makel with this a cappella. None of the big poskim want to put their name behind it. Sarchin. You know what I mean by that, right? Okay, good. So there's the Shut Mikdash Yisrael says background music is not a problem. Therefore, listening I didn't find anybody that said it is a problem. He's the only one I found that discussed it. So listening in a store or a doctor's office where there's music in the background, that's not really a problem. What if you're driving and you're falling asleep? So yes, the person say you're allowed to. That's not listening to music for enjoyment. That's listening to music not to fall asleep while driving. That would be allowed. Maybe you're better off using the acapella for that, right? So that would be allowed. Now, listening. What about listening during? Easier before I do that. Music teacher or musician, they're allowed to play music because that's not considered enjoyment. That's considered their job. What about listening during exercise? So this is a big hack. So the answer is it really depends. Why are you listening during exercise? If you're listening because it's more geschmack to have music when you exercise, then you're not allowed to because you're not supposed to listen to music for it to be geschmack. But I can only exercise if I have music. If I don't have music, I can't exercise. I can only exercise with music, right? So then you'd be allowed to if your exercise is for health reasons, which that's normally what exercise is for. So therefore it would be okay. But let's say if your exercise is because, listen, I could bench press 450 pounds now, and I really want to get to 500, I don't know if that's considered health reasons. Maybe mental, whatever. Leave it there. Okay. So, but it's might not have the head there. But most people who are exercising because they need to stay in shape and they need music, that would be allowed. Fine. If an avel cannot dance, by the way, cannot dance. So they should not be able to dance by Matzah Shabbos, by after Kiddush Levana. They would not be able to dance. There may be a heter that I was thinking of, but I didn't see anybody that said it, so I'm too nervous to say it on my own right. There's a halacha you're not allowed to dance on Shabbos. Now there's a lot of shuls and places, where they have by some simcha, where they'll dance, they'll go around in a circle. And most places are makel on that little going around in a circle, because that's not dancing. It's a shuffle. It's going around in a circle. That's not dancing. So I was wondering if we could say that when you have one of those types of things by a siyum or whatever it is, maybe an avel could do that as well. It's a svara, but I don't know if the two things are necessarily comparable, and therefore I'm not going to say that myself. So I'm going to leave it as you're not allowed to, because I didn't see anybody saying this. But it was just a thought of mine. One of those thoughts that I would like to run by a big Talmud Chacham next time I get a chance. Oh yeah, Bensi, what's fun? Okay, so perm. So an avel sends one shalach manos, and it's machlokes whether he's allowed to send more. But his family could send more, and that's usually what people do. Now you don't send shalach manos to an avel, but you're allowed to give like shalach manos with a gift, give with a check or something, to the Rav or to the son's Rebbe, as we discussed earlier. Now, an avel is allowed to participate in a perm suda. Avel could go, but it shouldn't be a massive matzav with lots and lots of families. Fine. An avel shouldn't go to a perm mesiba. However, if the avel is the Rav or the Rosh Hashiva, and his not showing up to the perm mesiba will be a massive aveilus b'fer hesia, then on perm, you're not supposed to have aveilus on perm. Yeah, so if it's going to be a massive aveilus b'fer hesia, then he would be allowed to come, but he should keep his state as much as he could get away with, so to speak. He shouldn't stay longer than that. Fine. An avel could have a group come collecting, the group's coming around collecting, so you can let them come into to his house and dance and collect or whatever, but he shouldn't join them in the dancing because he's not allowed to join them in the dancing. Okay, and that's it for Hilchas Aveilus, and we should all be Zeicha and all our relatives to have Arichas Yamim, And this should be our last time in the 9 days, and I shouldn't have so much opportunity to give these types of shiurim, like the shiurim on aveilus. All right, shkia for listening.